Guys, I have one for you today. Let me ask you, are you a fan of horror games? Because honestly, I am not usually into them. But Escape the Backrooms is something else. This game throws you into an endless maze where every turn tests your sanity and nerves. But to survive, you'll have to hold on to your sanity just long enough to unravel the mystery and discover if there's even a way out. Let's see what this user said about this game today in this review. Join me. Okay, now I'll be honest, I am not a fan of horror games, but after digging into this one, I think I might actually change my mind about it. It doesn't rely on over-the-top violence, which makes it feel more like something I could genuinely enjoy as I try to escape and dodge whatever's lurking in this maze. But anyway, today we have a review coming in from Cheese. 30 people found this review helpful, 20 people found this review funny, recommended 0.1 hours in the last 2 weeks, 44.9 hours on record, and 44.8 hours at the time of the review. He posted July 7th at 1:04 p.m. He then wrote, 10 out of 10, mauled to death by a moth I didn't even see. Perfect game. I have a potato PC and I was still able to play up max graphics. That is a plus. Alright, let's talk about the backstory or the premise of Escape the Backrooms for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, because I sure was. So Escape the Backrooms is a 1 to 4 player co-op exploration game where you and your friends can traverse 30 plus unsettling levels, dodging entities and other dangers at every turn. You'll need to manage your sanity by drinking almond water and when it drops too low, or you will risk dying. Staying quiet is key. Hostile entities can hear when you and your friends talk through proximity voice chat. Dude, that is freaking sick. Let me just say that for a second. So, you have to be careful what you say. If you play co-op, teamwork is crucial and make sure everyone escapes together. You will need to try and survive to find your way out, but you need to remember making it to the end is never guaranteed. Okay, so this brings me to point number 1. This review is super short, but it caught my attention. The reviewer opens with 10 out of 10, mauled to death by a moth I didn't even see. Perfect game. Now, this is actually one of the first titles I've covered with a review where someone immediately gives it a perfect score. Now, that says a lot about the game's appeal, at least for some players. I mean, plus 30 people agreed, marking this review helpful, which is impressive for the review that's just over a month old. But I have to look at it objectively. I have to point out that just like I criticize negative reviews for lack of context, this one doesn't actually explain why it deserves a 10 out of 10 either. Now, I wish the reviewer had shared more detail since I always advocate for giving reasons behind the rating, positive or negative, so I have to play as devil's advocate here and say more context would make this review so much stronger. So, point number 2, the reviewer mentioned being mauled to death by something he didn't even see. As someone who hasn't played this game yet, I think that the detail really says something about it and its atmosphere. For a horror game, being vulnerable to threats you can't always detect is exactly what you want. It keeps you on the edge and makes every moment tense. And the unpredictability and sense of danger is what separates great horror experiences from the mediocre ones. So this actually reminds me of one of the few horror games I've played, or at least a game that's remotely close. And that was The Suffering, which, by the way, I did do a review on this. You should go check it out. But anyway, The Suffering featured enemies that could sneak up on you with little to no warning. That kind of design adds a layer of suspense and fear, and it's great to see that Escape the Backrooms is capturing that same feeling. Alright, so point number 3. The reviewer mentioned that his PC is a potato. I mean, mine too. But yet he was able to still play Escape the Backroom on max settings. Now that is a huge plus in my opinion. Even though I haven't played the game myself yet, this says a lot about the developers' priorities. They didn't go overboard with fancy resource-heavy graphics. Instead, they focused on developing solid content and gameplay that's accessible for more players. This genuinely speaks for itself. The fact that they were trying to expand their audience rather than just, putting resource-heavy things in the game is
I like the exit
awesome.
signs, it's far
But
easier.
this is a big selling point, and especially right now, not everyone can afford to upgrade their hardware
I wish the
just to
game would
play the
tell me
latest
things.
games.
Yeah, it'd be nice,
And when
wouldn't
the
it?
developers keep
Come on.
lower end systems in mind, it really broadens the gamer's audience, really, as I already said. With the economy the way it is, and not trying to get too political, making games more accessible is both smart and considerate. It's a great to see a title that values inclusivity and content over just pushing graphics to the limit. All right, point number 4. Now, I touched on this point briefly in point number 3, but as I was closing out the video, I kept looking at his PC specs. I wanted to get more specific about it. Mr. Cheese was kind enough to list them, and he is running in his computer, it doesn't say if it's a laptop or desktop, a 13th gen iCore 5 with 8 gigs of RAM, an onboard Intel Xe graphics with just 182 megabytes of VRAM. Honestly, I have to say, that is about as bare bones as it gets for modern gaming. It is wild that he can not only run the game, really run Windows 11, but play it on max settings. Now, maybe I'm being a little dramatic, but I feel that I'm bottlenecking my laptop and it has a 5060 in it. But this really reinforces my point from earlier. The fact that Escape the Backroom is playing on such minimal hardware is a true testament to the game's optimization and accessibility. Okay, what should we do next? Now, in wrapping this up, this game and its reviews was pretty unique to me. As I mentioned, I haven't played Escape the Backrooms before, and I've only discovered it while making this video like 2 hours ago. So still, the fact that someone gave it a 10 out of 10 speaks volumes. Even if he wasn't able to articulate it, this review still stood out to me. But I'm still curious about what makes the experience stand out so much for other players. Now, looking at the community stats, this game has been out for 4 years, yet it is still going strong. Despite its minimalistic approach, Escape the Backrooms remains popular and has had an active player base even now. People are even still streaming it on Twitch, and I'm sure that's not the only platform they're streaming it to. So kudos to Secret Mode for developing a game that thousands genuinely enjoy. And well, for keeping it alive with fresh content even after all this time. And based on everything we've discussed, there's definitely room for a sequel, at least in my opinion and from what I can see. With horror games always in demand, Escape the Backroom has truly earned its place in this genre. This brings me to the end of my video. Let me know your thoughts. Did I get the details right? Do you think Escape the Backroom is a game we should be excited about or really afraid about? Drop your answers in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.